بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. So we had started the discussion on محكم متشابه محكمات متشابهات, yeah? آيات محكمات آيات متشابهات, and we mentioned محكم is to judge, pass a verdict, and also it can mean to prevent. Let me just I think maybe this is the okay, that's better. And to prevent or to obstruct, which meant that the ayat whose meaning is clear, you are not obstructed from understanding it clearly. This is muhkam, clear, understood, and it actually stops you from misunderstanding it because it's so clear and so well rooted. Mutashabih, two meanings of the word. One is to resemble, to be similar to, or it can be therefore it is unclear. Because it resembles something else, it causes a bit of, it can cause ambiguity because you're not sure which one is being talked about. And we looked at the examples. And then we mentioned Quran, it is both muhkam and mutashabih. Muhkam in that it is clear, and mutashabih in that it has got ayat that have been repeated which resemble each other to complement each other and to give you clarity in meaning. So that's Quran as a whole. We mentioned muhkam and mutashabih. And then the ayat that have been mentioned in Surah Al-Imran in the beginning, the 7th ayah, ayah 7. Ayat muhkamat hunna ummul kitab. They are the basis of the book. Wa ukharu mutashabihat, and others which are mutashabihat, which are unclear, or they can have more than one meaning because they are similar. Allah Ta'ala is saying then to understand these ayat which are mutashabih, understand them in context and in reference to the muhkamat, so that you then do not misunderstand it in isolation of the main message which is clear. And we mentioned that mutashabih is because of our lack of understanding, because as humans we are limited. And therefore we cannot fully comprehend or appreciate certain things. And we will never until and unless and when Allah gives us the ability, which is in the hereafter, to appreciate. So in the hereafter, we would see Allah, inshallah. Wajhullah. As the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was asked, would we see Allah Ta'ala in the hereafter? He said, just like you see the full moon, and just like you see the sun in the day, you would see Allah. And Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, يَوْمَ إِذٍ نَاظِرَةٍ إِلَىٰ رَبِّهَا نَاظِرَةٍ. That day they would see Allah Ta'ala clearly. So these things, I mean, how can we understand this? We can't, yeah? We understand seeing, but how to see Allah, we can't understand that. Mutashabih for us. So we were talking about these aspects. And then there's a long, lengthy discussion about the attribute sifat of Allah, which are mutashabih for us. And we have to understand them as they are, not how they are. So as they are means when we say Allah has hands, He has hands, He has hands. How? We don't know. The kayfiyah, we don't know. He has eyes, He sees, He hears, He has knowledge, He has shin. Allah Ta'ala says, saq. Yeah? he rises above his throne, istawa ala al-arsh. How he rises, we don't know. Imam Malik, wasn't it, who said? Imam Malik? We quoted last time. When he was asked by someone, how does Allah rise on his throne? He said, istawa ma'loom. You know, I know what it means to rise above something. But how Allah does it, we don't know. Allah does. To ask this question, how is bid'ah? He said, Imam Malik, yeah? Not to ask this question, this bid'ah, this is an innovation, because you are asking something that Ashab didn't ask, because this is not the question to ask. Because Allah Ta'ala says, Laysa kamithlihi shay, there's nothing like unto Allah Ta'ala's example. So therefore, do not ask this type of question, because, and Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he said, La tatafakkaru fillah, don't contemplate about Allah in His being. Tatafakkaru fi ayatillah, contemplate in His signs in creation, around you, in yourself, in history. Because if you concentrate in who is Allah, meaning how is He, you can never ever grasp it. In fact, it will be misleading. Because any conclusion you think you will come to would be limited, and Allah Ta'ala, He is above that. Yeah, so it's very simple, really. So the next step we have to take is from page 221, is the other categories of mutashabihat. The other categories of mutashabihat. And here, we don't mean resembling, not in the meaning, but they resemble each other. Ayat, they resemble each other in the actual wording. Yeah, actual wording is similar or the same. And Imam Suyuti, he mentions that muhkamat, so he gives another definition of muhkamat and mutashabihat, based on the meaning of mutashabih being that which is repeated, yeah, but they are different in wording, not meaning. He says muhkamat are the verses which are not repeated because they are so clear. And the mutashabihat are the verses that have been repeated, but there is some difference. Yeah. So it says words or phrases are repeated somewhere else in the Quran, either exactly or with a slight difference. And we will look at some examples of that. And Al-Zarkashi, he lists that, he lists 5, there can be more categories. He says places in the Quran where there are mutashabihat, in that the similar ayah has been mentioned, yeah, twice. Some ayat he has said 3 times, some 4, some 5, some 6. The references are given in the book, but let's just take an example. If I share the screen with you. So when we go to the Quran, example of one ayah which is similar to another ayah. So this is for Yunus, ayah 60. Yes, and if we bring up the book, it may be even easier. Okay, he hasn't given the, so we look at the ayah, 1060. So the ayah is وَمَا ظَنُّ الَّذِينَ يَفْتَرُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ الْكَذِبَ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يَشْكُرُونَ. So I think it's the last section, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يَشْكُرُونَ. So now a similar ayah in 2773. So let's go to 2773. here. وَإِنَّ رَبَّكَ لَذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى النَّاسِ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَهُمْ لَا يَشْكُرُونَ. Yes? So now, if we compare these two, the problem is how can we compare the two? We can't compare them on this. If you bring me a Quran from there, this one here. And then I can actually compare the two. Jazakallah khair. If I open up the first one, 1060. So if you have Quran on your iPads, if one of you opens 1060, one opens 2773. So I open 1060, Surah 10, Ayah 60. This one will be there. And I have 2773. So in Surah Yunus, it is Inna Allaha Ladhu Fadlin ala Nasi walakinna aktharahum la yashkurun. So Inna Allaha Ladhu Fadl. And in here it is Inna Rabbaka Ladhu Fadlin ala Nas. So the difference is Inna Allaha, and here it is Inna Rabbaka. You see the difference, yeah? Here it is Allah, here it is Rabbaka. So the mutashabih. Similar but different in meaning. Sorry, wording. Allah used there, Rabbaka used there. Is it clear? No. Could you explain that again? Okay, no problem. So can you see both ayat? Yeah. You can see both of them? Okay. So read the one from Yunus. Very good. So Inna Allah ladhu fadl, yeah? And Surah Naml, wa inna rabbaka ladhu fadlin. You see the difference? Inna rabbaka and Inna Allah. I'll throw it for you. Yeah, the wording. Yeah. So Inna Allah Ladhu Fadlin ala Nas and Inna Rabbaka. Yeah, you can see my screen? Yeah. Okay. Inna Rabbaka. So this, instead of Allah, Rabbaka has been mentioned. So these are two places Zarkashi has mentioned. Yeah. Another place he has mentioned has three ayat which are mutashabih according to his definition, if you like. Not his, but the definition that we're taking, that ayat similar, yeah, but the wordings are different. The meaning will be similar, but the wordings are different.
All right, so we're just saying because Allah and Rabb were just interchanged.
Yeah, okay. So here another example. Let's take the example where he gives 5 places, yeah, about obeying Allah and the Messenger. So let's take 459. Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ati'u Allah wa ati'u rasula. Okay? Ati'u Allah wa ati'u rasula. Now if I open in my book, the Quran that I have, 592. And I would see, here it says, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ. أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ. And here, وَأَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ. This the same. Yeah, that portion is the same, but the other obviously is different before and after that section. Another place is 2454. Let's see the difference, if there's any difference. 2454.
So why was this one mutashabih?
Because you see the whole ayah. Okay. Yeah, you will. Yeah, that is the same. So sometimes the wording is the same, and sometimes the wording is different, but it's repeated. So here we're also looking at mutashabih also means that it is repeated because it's similar. So the third one was 2454. Here, قُلْ أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ. أَطِيعُوا اللَّهَ وَأَطِيعُوا الرَّسُولَ. Again, same. And whereas 47, 33, 47 is Surah Muhammad. And the ayah is 33. We see, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ati'u Allah wa ati'u rasula. Again, same. And the last one we might as well look at it is 64. Surah 64, ayah number 12. And this is Surah At-Taghabun, ayah 12. Wa ati'u Allah wa ati'u rasul. So identical. Yeah? They're the same. So words or phrases that have been repeated, either exactly or with a slight difference. Yeah, so that was what As-Suyuti said about mutashabihat. So he carries on, and there are other lists, but this is just to give us a flavor of it. And then there are others that he has mentioned. These are repeated with a slight difference. Yeah, so there are 4 categories of that. 4 categories of those. So these we looked at are similar, but there are other mutashabihat that are slight difference. Yeah, there's a slight difference, and these differences he has categorized into 4 types.
Who was it that categorized it?
I think that's Zarkashi, from what I remember. But it's in the book in my notes. So either you have an addition or you have a subtraction of a letter or a word. Yeah. But the overall ayah is similar. So the example given here is 2:6 and 36:10. So let's have a look at that. 2:6. 2:6. إن الذين كفروا سواء عليهم أأنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون. And we compare that with 36:10. 36 is Surah Yasin, I think. Yes, 36:10. وَسَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Yeah. So, سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. But there is an addition here. Yeah. To وَسَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ in the Surah Al-Baqarah there is إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا سَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ أَأَنذَرْتَهُمْ أَمْ لَمْ تُنذِرْهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. But in Surah Yasin it starts with وَسَوَاءٌ عَلَيْهِمْ. So they are similar. But there's an addition of إِنَّ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. So that's one category. The second is you exchange the word order. We mentioned this before as well. You exchange word order, which is taqdeem and ta'khir. Word order is changed. So, to example given here, 6151. 6151 and 1731. Let me bring it up first and then we compare. 1731. Surah Bani Israel, ayah 31. وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ مِنْ أَمْلَاقٍ نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكُمْ وَإِيَّاهُمْ. In Surah Al-An'am. And in Surah Al-Isra, it is وَلَا تَقْتُلُوا أَوْلَادَكُمْ خَشْيَةَ إِمْلَاقٍ. Here it is min imlaq, there it is khashyata imlaq. Yeah. Nahnu narzuqukum wa iyahum. In An'am, we provide for you and them. And in Surah Bani Israel, it is Nahnu narzuquhum wa iyakum. We provide for them and for you. Yeah. In Surah An'am, you and them. Isra, them and you. There is a change of the order. Yeah? And the reason given in the surah and the book is that in Surah Bani Israel, it is talking about you fear poverty when you will have children, or if you have children. Surah An'am is saying you have poverty now because of children, you think. There's a slight difference. So there's taqdeem and ta'khir, where you have come in one place first and then the children later. And the other place, your children have come first because you are fearful that because of them my rizq would be limited, etc. So Allah Ta'ala, He has used the same but changed the word order. Okay, the third category, C, is you exchange the word with its synonym. You exchange the word with its synonym. A mutaradif, synonym. A mutaradif, or muradif, similar word. So the example is 2160. 2160. And 7158.
It's 260.
Is it? I'm sorry. 2160. Surah 2.
It's an ayah 60 in the book.
Did it say 60?
Yeah.
You sure? Okay, you seeing the book?
Yeah, this is in the book.
Let me go to the book. 260 then, yeah? Let me go to that one. Okay. Let's see that. And the other one is 7158, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. 7158. Okay, let's see this. You're sure, yeah?
Yeah. Page
Which page is it?
222 in the book.
And it is 260 and, okay, the 12 springs. So let's see what I have here. إذ استسقى موسى لقومه قل نضرب بعصاك الحجر فانفجرت منه 12 عينا. فانفجرت منه 12 عينا. So this is in Al-Baqarah. In Al-A'raf, it says, am I on the right ayah? Which is 158, isn't it?
Yeah.
158? No, that's not it.
Surah 7.
157, I think. Have you found the ayah? I can't find it here. Mistake there. It is 160.
Okay.
It is 160. You know 158, 160. 160 وقطعناهم 12 أسباطا أمما ووحينا إلى موسى إذ استسقى قومه أن اضرب بعصاك الحجر. It is the same there, yeah. اضرب بعصاك الحجر فانبجست. Yeah, here it is فانفجرت. There it is فانبجست منه 12 عينا منه 12 عينا. So فانفجرت in Al-Baqarah, فَانْبَجَسَتْ in A'raf, and the meaning given of فَانْبَجَسَتْ here, gushed forth there, and the meaning given here will also probably be gushed forth, but there is definitely a difference because the wording are different. فَانْبَجَسَتْ and فَانْفَجَرَتْ, there would be some minute different, but there's definitely some different, but they're synonyms as it's mentioned. So the reference in the book is correct or not?
No. He said 158, he said 160.
160. Khair. You correct that. 160. And this is 60. In fact, I found a few mistakes in the book just like this, Yani, if you know what I mean. Some oddities, but I should have made a note of them. I didn't make, then we can send it. But maybe there's a new edition that has been corrected. I don't know. Wallahu alam. Khair. So that's category 3. And then the last one is it changes from singular to plural, but there's no example given of that. So the word would be singular in one place and it would be plural in another place. But because there's no example, I can't really cite one for you. So these are some differences of either addition of subtraction of literal word, exchange the order, or exchange the word with the synonym, mutashabih. They are the words. Yeah, there is resembling the words, but not in meaning necessarily. So these are some examples. And then, so mutashabih and muhkamat. Let's just quickly summarize. Muhkamat, ayat, clear. Yeah, there's no doubt, there's no ambiguity, there's no maybe, maybe not, because there it can mean this or that. Mutashabihat, there can be, as we mentioned, so the two meanings of mutashabih is, to make sure we are correct in this, to resemble or to be similar, which we are looking at, yeah? And because of the resemblance, there is ambiguity. You don't know exactly which one it is. Yeah? So we should understand the mutashabihat in light of the muhkamat. That's the guiding principle. Yeah? And people in the ayah mentioned Al Imran, those people who want to find crookedness, they have crookedness, they will go for the mutashabih, unclear, and then they will make it what they want it to be, rather than see it in context of the muhkamat. So what was you remember the example in Al Imran, the context? So mentioned Al Imran, the topic of Al Imran was dawah to the Christians. The last lesson mentioned. And the Christians, they took words such as Ruhullah, Spirit of Allah, yes, which is mutashabih, which is basically, what does that mean? Yeah. So it cannot mean that Allah's got a ruh like we have, because the whole Quran is saying there is nothing like Allah. Allah is maker, you are made. He is Lord, you are worshipper. You see, all Quran is saying that, and then you bring Ruhullah and you say no. Ruhullah means Allah has a spirit, and that spirit is Jesus, and Jesus is therefore part of God. And so forget the whole Quran message. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So the mutashabihat people, when they go for that, without the whole Quran, this is what mess happens. Yeah. And that can be said about anything you want to twist it, you can twist anything. But if you look at the whole, so this is one of the aspects of Allah Ta'ala preserving the Quran and its meaning, that you look at it holistically and it will, you make it airtight. You can't mess about with it. So this is the muhkamat and the mutashabihat. So haqiqi and majazi now. The next discussion is haqiqi and majazi ayat. Haqiqi and majazi. Haqiqi is literal and real as it is. And majazi is the metaphorical meaning of things. And majazi. So we should appreciate that certain things you can say they are haqiqi, and some things are majazi, metaphorical, but when do you apply that or not? Yeah, when do you apply that or not? So the first example that they've given is that when you look at the context, you will realize this is a metaphor, yeah, because it will make sense. So they give an example of Surah Bani Israel, a very famous ayah. So Surah 17, ayah 24, about parents, where Allah Ta'ala, He mentions after the right of Allah, the right of parents, when He says, وَخْفِضْ لَهُمَا جَنَاهَ الذُّلِّ جَنَاهَ الذُّلِّ مِنَ الرَّحْمَةِ. So lower for them, close to them, janah. Janah is wing. Yeah? Wing of humility. Now this cannot mean haqiqi, literal meaning, because we don't have wings. Okay? So this is metaphorical to show that if you had wings, how you would bring them down, how would you lower them for your parents. So this is majazi, metaphorical. Yeah? And then the example, another example given is of the surah after that, Surah Kahf, of the story of Musa and Khidr, when it mentions the people that Khidr came to with Musa and they refused to host both of them. So Allah Ta'ala mentions here the word Qariya. What is it? Qariya. Where is the right ayah?
77.
77? Are you sure? قرية. Thank you. 77. So this reference is not correct. 77. So they set out until they came to the people of a town. فأبوا أن يضيفوهما فوجد فيها جدار يريد أن ينقض فقام وقال لا شيء له. And that was not the point. The point is the Qariya. Because Ahl Qariya mentioned already. There was another place I think is mentioned again. Qariya. What does it say in the book? Because the whole point was to say that the Qariya here refers to the people, not the actual. Here we go. Was'al al-Qariya. Was'al al-Qariya. 82. Was'al al-Qariya. Is it there? Was'al al-Qariya. Oh, Surah 12.
Yeah, Surah 12.
Subhanallah, I'm in Surah Kahf.
That's the other one.
I'm in a complete wrong surah.
Yeah, Surah 12, 82.
Allah, you see my brain is working with Surah Kahf. That's why it's in the wrong surah. 82, yes, 82. 82. Was'alil Qariya. Yes, so ask the city. Yeah, so now how you will understand the city, you can't talk to the city, can you? Yeah, because city can't speak. London doesn't speak, does it? So Qarya means the people of the Qarya. So this is metaphor for saying the people who dwell there, because it makes sense. Then there's discussion on whether or not Allah's attributes can be used, therefore, can they be majazi rather than being haqiqi? That when Allah Ta'ala says He has hands, does this therefore is a metaphor for power? Yeah? So they have then given reasons that you cannot do that. Yeah, you cannot do that. The reasons given, we'll go through them. Because essentially what happens if you go down that route, you make everything which is part of the ghaib metaphorical and not real. So you say heaven and hell is a metaphor, it's not real. They say the jinns are not real, they are metaphors. Angels are not real, they are metaphors. So the Quran, when it says that when Allah Ta'ala saw Musa strike the sea and it became two huge cliffs, if you like, or two mountains, this is not haqiqi, it's majazi. You see the problem with that. So they give 5 reasons why we cannot claim that the attributes, the sifat of Allah are majazi and not haqiqi. First thing, he says, all the verses taken in the haqiqi sense, unless there is reason or proof to believe otherwise. That's the first reason. So we do not take anything as majazi, metaphorical, until there is reason. Like we saw the qarya, there is reason because this makes sense and it can be used. You know, they said the city never sleeps. London, unfortunate city, never sleeps. How can a city remain alive if it doesn't sleep? See? For metaphor, yeah, makes sense to use that. So we only use it when it makes sense. Otherwise, we don't use it. We say the ayat are haqiqi. They mean exactly, literally what it says. Number 2, not appropriate that things that are so fundamental to our iman, yeah, that they would be majazi, metaphorical, because metaphors can cause confusion or ambiguity. No, we should have clarity. So Allah Ta'ala would not have, of course, He would not do that. His Quran is there to guide us. Number 3, it says majaz rests upon the perceived and well-known, and this will not lead to misunderstanding or confusion. Yes? So therefore, when it comes to the ghaib, this is not well known to us. We cannot perceive it. So therefore, how can you then place a metaphor for something that you can't really appreciate anyway? So therefore, it would not apply. The 4th reason they give for not claiming Allah's attributes are majazi in the Quran is that they say that majaz is also defined as something that can be negated. Majaz is something that can be negated. So therefore, if you claim that Allah Ta'ala, He has mabsutatan, He has hands, you can also say He doesn't, which means you can negate that, and of course you can't say that. So it doesn't go with the use of majaz. If we take that definition as that which is permissible to negate. And the last thing is claiming some sifat as majazi, yes, is tantamount to actually saying all the sifat attributes are majazi without any proof. And also because Allah Ta'ala would not tell us that which we cannot understand anyway about Himself to guide us. In fact, this would confuse us. And that's why the people, they are confused about Allah when they say Allah, He has a son or a daughter. Or they You know this question they ask, the atheist thing, they're very clever. They say that, so you say God is all powerful. You say yes. And he's all able. You say yes. So they say, can he build a stone that is too heavy for him to carry? You see this trap. You see this mess. So because they equated Allah's strength and His ability to our strength and ability. You see that?
How do you apply that to that?
So this situation doesn't apply to Allah. This applies to the finite being that has limitation. It is not applicable to God, Allah. Simple. See that? So this twisting your mind, you know. Allah musta'an. That's why we have to learn Quran, and then inshallah Allah will guide us to the straight, simple. Islam is very simple, natural. There's no complication, no philosophy involved. It's just reality as Allah has revealed it. So this is a discussion on Haqiqi and Majazi, the literal and the metaphorical. And then there is discussion on the ayat which are am, which is a general meaning, or khas, specific meaning, which have limited scope. So the next is am and khas, general and specific. This gave, let's look at an example of a general 385, they said 385. 185, sorry. 185. Kullu nafsin dha'iqatul maut. Kullu nafs. Every soul will taste death. So this is general. This is not speaking about a specific person. Yeah. This is general. In its meaning and application, everybody will. Then he talks about three categories of am, general. It says A, first category is totally unspecified. Yes, but this is rare in the Quran, totally unspecified. So in Surah An-Nisa 176, there is mention of, this is essentially talking about the check the book, I'm getting confused with the other one. So, which ayah is this? Wallahu bi kulli shayin alim. So this is totally unspecified. Meaning he has knowledge of everything. Yeah? And he said this is rare. There are no exceptions to this verse. Yeah? Meaning that there are things that Allah Ta'ala is not aware of. This is absolutely unspecified. That he knows what he knows of, he knows everything. The next is am in wording, but khas in meaning. This is also rare. So the word is am, but the meaning is khas. So example, summa afidu min haythu afada nas. Here it says, you should depart from that place where nas, people depart. An-nas. This is general word, an-nas, people. Yeah? It doesn't say which people. The word is general. but it means the people of Arabia, because this is referring to the Arabs that used to go to Hajj. Yes, they had their own rituals, their own manasik, and they would not go to Arafat because they thought they were too good to go to Arafat. Yeah? This is saying, ثُمَّ أَفِيدُ مِنْ حَيْثُ أَفَادَ النَّاسِ, meaning you should also depart from the place. So you Arabs also depart from Muzdalifah to go to Arafat, from where the other people, the Arabs who go to, because in your time you're talking to them, they depart. So the word is nas, general, but it means those specific people. That makes sense? The third category, arm that has been specified. Yeah, the arm, the general, which has been specified. And this is common, it says, and let's look at the example. Forbidden to you in marriage are your stepdaughters who have been born of your wives with whom you have had intercourse with. This verse has specified an arm in that only a specific type of stepdaughter is forbidden in marriage. Yeah. So just talking about stepdaughters, but it's not talking about a specific stepdaughter. But this is general for any such situation. So there, the arm that has been specified. So yeah, just to give us some understanding of these concepts when we start to study the Quran, inshallah, so that we don't misunderstand things, inshallah. Of course, there's lots of there would be detailed discussion on these topics, definitely. But inshallah, if we continue to do this again in more detail, we can look at that. Okay, we will stop there for now. Next time we look at mutlaq and muqayyad. Mutlaq, unconditional, open-ended. Muqayyad is conditional, or it is with some conditions, if you like. So it's limited, if you like. Look at that, and then next time we will look at mantuq. Mantuq, that which is said, obvious meaning, explicit meaning. Mafhum, what is understood from it. What is understood from the ayah. So the ayah is obvious what it's saying, but you're also saying something without saying it, if you like. So a very good example our teacher used to give was, everybody in this class with glasses will get 10 pounds. This is mantuq. This is the explicit meaning of what's being said, meaning you'll get 10 pounds. But what's understood, it means we won't, yeah? So we'll look at that briefly. And then we will also start Nasikh and Mansukh, inshallah, next time. And then I think next lesson, and then the lesson after that, we'll try to finish Nasikh and Mansukh by next Thursday. Today, Thursday?
Yeah.
And then inshallah, we'll start to look at Ijaz al-Quran, the miraculous nature of al-Quran. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك وجزاكم الله خيرا. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.